Hello, and assalamu alaikum. Welcome to The Conversation Piece with your host, Akila. Hello. In this episode, I am speaking with one of my good friends and a regular listener of The Conversation Piece. Thank you, Ashley. We've been trying to schedule a Zoom chat for forever because Ashley stays busy, y'all. But I appreciated the time and candor she displayed during our conversation. We discussed a lot of topics, some serious, some not so much. So I hope you enjoy.
Being Hispanic, my family was very strict. When I tell you, I was living with my mom up until a year and a half ago. I am 26 years old. I officially moved out at 25, okay? My mom did not believe in me leaving the house until I was set. I needed a full-time, even though I had a full-time job living with her. I was salary-based, but I was going to school. I was not an adult yet. I had not moved on. I'm not ready to go out in the world by myself. And living with her, I had rules. She did not care that I was past the age of 18. If I tell you need to be home by 12 o'clock, I mean 11:59. That's not walking in the door at 11:59:01. No. 11:59 on the dot. That door needs to be jiggling. My keys need to be in there. She's extremely strict. If I wanted to go hang out with my friends, who am I going with? Where am I going? How long am I gonna be there? She'll text me and be like, what time do you plan on coming home? Super, super strict, very respectful. This is my household and you have the privilege of staying here.
That's how I grew up though. A lot of cultures do that.
But then
it's just a generational thing. This younger generation, you guys are more I'll text you if you get a text call.
I'll maybe text you and let you know if I'm coming home, but you'll know if I show up or not. I can't stand that generation. That is my little brother's generation. I just want to choke him sometimes because it's so disrespectful. You know what I mean? But then I also blame my mom for allowing him to push her that far. But then looking at the American culture, it's 18, get out of my house. You're an adult, go on, leave me alone. Doesn't matter if you're set, doesn't matter what you're doing with your life. As soon as you hit 18, I want you out the door. I have friends that were like that. I also have friends that they make me feel the American culture is talking back to your parents, being disrespectful in company, cursing at them. Don't get me wrong, I have the worst foul mouthers in this world. But when I'm in front of my mother, I may say them, but I definitely tone it down to just the word shit. That's it. I won't go past that. I can go way past that, but I won't go past that. And that's it. And I can't curse at her. I have to if I'm just talking and it slips out, it's one thing. She'll be watch yourself. But continue with your story. Let me hear what you keep going. And she'll tell me if she hits me with 3 times, she'll get pissed off and won't talk to me and walk out of the room.
Oh wow.
It's very I'm very on my toes when it comes to my mom. And then looking at everyone else, they be cursing at their moms. They be F you, mom. F this, F that. And I'm what? You say that?
Culturally, Black people, up until maybe a couple of generations ago, they didn't even attempt to do that. You know what I mean? This younger generation, because they're looking at everybody else, especially white people, oh, I can get away with that. It's try it if you want to.
It's so quick to just curse their family out. And I just be sitting there and I just be shit, not in my house.
Exactly.
Slap me until tomorrow, next year. My mom scares me. I am 26-year-old and my mom scares me.
I'm still scared of my mom. I'm 45. Ashley and I got the same mama.
Coming from a super, super traditional Hispanic household, my mom is all about cleaning. It's all about presentation. It's all about posting. You don't want your company to feel uncomfortable. You never want your house to smell. You essentially want to be perfect to a point where people don't have anything negative to say about.
That makes so much sense now because one of my friends is their family's from Honduras and they pretty much adopted me. Every time I go over there, they make me feel at home.
That is their thing. Like, we don't ever want anyone to come into our home and feel like they're not welcome, like that they don't belong here, that there's no place for them. So like, I made it a point that every single time I have friends come over, like I get something specifically for that person or for that group, and like I just make everyone feel comfortable. Like that day, like I bought everything. Well, one of my friends ended up giving money towards it, but I bought everyone's favorite beer. I made Jello shots to the taste of every person that was coming. I got food. I made taco. I was a taco party. Well, one of my friends is also the birthday girl who we're celebrating. She's a pescatarian, so she doesn't eat meat. And I bought like fake beef so she can also eat tacos with the rest of us. I made it a point where like I cooked the taco in her meat in a completely different bowl than I do with the other meat. And she's one that like, I don't care if like my food touches actual meat, like it is what it is. Like, you know, when I go to restaurants, like I know that they're cooking it where they've cooked other meat. So she's like, I can't control this, so why lash out when someone else does this? It's an accident, no one needs to do it on purpose. I made it my point that I cooked the meats in two totally different pans. Like they were placed in two totally different things. They weren't even sitting next to each other until like it was time to serve. When it was time to serve, they were like side by side. But like even then, like I was just like, I want everyone to understand that like you're coming here, like I thought about you, I put your likes and everything into perspective. So when you come in, you're like, oh, like this is awesome. This is also my home too. Oh, don't get crazy though. But you know, everyone's welcome.
I hope this isn't triggering for anyone with OCD.
I was hosting a party that I've been planning on hosting now for like 2-3 months. And when I tell you, Akiba, that I have mopped my floors with 4 different new sets of buckets, like I would throw out the water, get new water, add more Pine Sol, mop the floors, throw that one out, replenish. Like I had a friend that was here and he was watching me do it and he's like, you're giving me anxiety. Like he was just staring at me. He's like, so you're gonna mop again? I'm like, yeah. So like I definitely went overboard with the mop. I still do. Like every time I mop, like I'll do one time with it and then like I'll throw the water out, get new water, and then do it one more time. And I'm like, now my house is clean. Like I'll go walking, I'll go outside for a couple minutes, come back inside to see how the house smells. I am severely OCD. Like if my pillows aren't set a certain way, it bothers me. You can ask Justin. Before I leave the house in the morning, I make sure that the living room looks presentable, the kitchen, there can be no dishes in the sink, because he's like, well, no one's coming in the house. I'm like, you don't know that. Like the community people comes in, pest control randomly comes in, they come in to check our things. Like they'll let us know within 24 hours. So exactly, in any given moment, somebody can walk into the house, and the last thing I want them to think is that this house is dirty.
Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do you have Spotify? If so, turn on the notification button. You can also find the Conversation Piece podcast on Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, RadioPublic.com, Breaker.audio, and Anchor.fm/Akila Lynch, spelled AQUILA-LYNCH. Thank you for your support. This is a touchy subject, but then again, when is discussing racism ever comfortable?
It's okay, I get it. I also don't look like I guess I do. I do look like I'm a minority. I look like I'm biracial, but people automatically assume that I would probably be more white than I am black. And then like, I'm just like, regardless, if I were a biracial, I'm 50-50. like dating someone biracial has really opened up my eyes to like these people are very confused. They're very like, well, what am I? I think you guys even had a conversation where it's like, I'm too white or I'm too black for white people, and then I'm too white for black people. And it's like, I'm never going to be taken into either side because I'm not fully one side. And
I've always felt that way, and I'm brown skinned. Yeah. I just black people. I got it from like, for instance, like how I talk, right? Like you're so articulate. Like my mother is a teacher.
I'm sorry, I read. I like to.
Right.
Read. I like to. You know.
How do you expect me to talk? Like, yo, what's up? You automatically assume that's how I talk. I also ask a lot of people. I'm like, do I sound white? People are like, yeah. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh?
You sound like you. Like that. I think that's what I tell people. I'm like, you sound like you. I mean, what are you supposed to sound like? I've heard people of all forms of tones in their voices. Like, we all talk different. I don't necessarily sound Hispanic. I think I have definitely whitewashed my accent very much throughout the years, because like when I first moved here to Florida, I went to an all-black school. It was my choice between an all-white school and an all-black school. I said, put me over there. I walked through the all-white school one time, right? And if you could have seen the amount of looks I was getting, my brother went to that school and only lasted maybe a year because he couldn't handle the racism. It was also had to do with a lot of sports, but like his coach was even like racist towards him. Your coach, like the one that's supposed to like push you to be the better you. So he ended up going to another school. But like I went to an all-black school, and then they were like, I will never forget my first question. On my first day, I was like, what you eat? And I'm like, what do you eat? What do you mean? Like, I'm a girl? And I was like, what you Mexican? I was like, Dominican? Oh yeah, same thing. I was like, no. And she totally, we're not even next to each other. Like, I don't even think that we're like on the same coast. We're like, I'm not good with geography, I'm gonna be honest. But we're not next to each other. You know what I mean? Like, I am close to Haiti. Like, I get more of that. Like, oh, so you're Haitian? I was like, well, I mean, like, they're right next door. There's a whole thing against them. I got like Dominicans and Haitians that I don't know too much about. But it's like they were super like, one, they were making fun of me because I sounded Hispanic. Well, because I had a really thick accent, and I also had a northern accent. So I have whitewashed how I talk. So like, wow. I feel like now I probably sound like I'm super white because I know over time I've let it go. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna talk how I want to talk, and you're gonna take it how you're gonna take it, because this is who I am. Like, sometimes I may sound super proper, sometimes I may sound, what is the proper urban? Sometimes I may, who knows what I'm gonna sound, but you're gonna get it depending on how I feel that day. And what is wrong with sounding articulate? Like, I feel like people, like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's so stupid, and it's nothing that I never thought about. You mentioned it to me when we met. Justin's mentioned it to me when him and I met. We had the conversation about how he feels like, you know, how is it like being biracial? Like, how do you deal with both sides? You know what I mean? And he said that, and I'm just like, man, the way you talk really matters in this world.
My grandmother said that what she notices that, especially with I don't know, I'm trying to use the correct terminology, but basically, if you're the fairer skin you are, when they come to America, they try to assimilate to pass as white, and the darker ones tend to hold on more to their culture because they know that from a society standpoint, people are going to think that they're black anyway. So they hold on to their culture, but they make a distinction that they're not black, they're this. And that's always something that stuck with me, because I do notice that sometimes.
I do think that sometimes Hispanics don't want to claim that they're black because they see how bad they're being treated too. And like, the other thing is that if you see it, then I feel like you should become an advocate. And I get it too, because they might not want to, because most of us are immigrants. Like, me and my siblings are the only ones like born here. Me, Pablo, Emilio. But like, my sister was born in DR. Everyone else is, you know, born in Dominican Republic. Not saying that they ever came here illegally. They all came here with their paperwork. But the fear was, can it be taken away? Or like, what are my precautions? Like, consequences of standing up for someone. My mom is very like, you hear people, like, she's very like, allow people to have their opinions, walk away from it, don't get yourself into trouble, because you're just gonna get yourself into deeper trouble. Like, steer away from this, steer away from that. Like, my mom is a very scared mentality. Like, don't get yourself in trouble. Just stay in your lane, ignore people, don't agree with them, just keep going. Versus my dad is like, you need to say this and you need to say that. Did you stay quiet to that person? Which is funny because you would think it'd be the other way around if you were to know them personally. And that has been my experience with that. My mom is like, look, let people have their opinions. Don't argue with them. Don't stoop to their level, because you now become one of them if you stoop down to their level and argue with them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, did you give them a piece of your mind? Like, I sure did. I was like, I didn't stay quiet. Like it's stuff like that. I feel like it's a little bit of everything. Everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different reason behind themselves not wanting. But I do see it that like most of my light-skinned friends that are Hispanic don't know Spanish. They're like, or if they're a mix of two like races, they'll pick the one that they think is better or more wanted by people. You know what I mean? Like, and that kind of sucks. Or like I have friends that are like dark skinned and they're like, I wish I was white. I wish I was lighter. Like, I hate being this color. And I'm like, why do you hate yourself? Girl, I would have paid any kind of money to have some color. You know how annoying it is to be pale? Look at me in this camera. You could barely see my face. Us, when we have our kid, and our kid is gonna be 3 races, because Justin's black and white and then I'm Dominican. So, and having like we have both dark parents. His dad is black, my dad is also black. My grandmother, my great grandmother, there's a lot of color in our family. So there's a possibility that our kid will also come out dark. Although I am not dark myself, I have experienced a certain level of racism that honestly took me by surprise. And I only experienced that here in Florida. So it's like now moving forward and then trying to teach my kid. Because like my mom, no one had a conversation with me about it. So when it hit me the first time, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. All I did was cry and go home crying every single day, especially at the job. I was 18 years old when all of this started happening. So the fact that I started experiencing it at 18 years old, at a job, it wasn't like it was at school. It wasn't like, it was.
What would they call you? Like, did they think you were a black girl? Or
because I'm green-eyed, curly hair, everyone automatically assumes that, oh, you must be mixed, you're biracial. And I'm like, actually, no, I'm only Dominican. Oh, we thought you were black. I was like, well, essentially, like, I don't go out and say that I'm black, but it's very obvious that Dominicans derive from African Americans, or from Africa. Like, it's obvious. So, essentially, yeah, you can technically say it, but I don't talk about it because that's not how I was raised. I don't know. I don't want to take that from anyone. So then, though I came in, when I applied, my hair was straight. Because back then I was taught you straighten your hair for special occasions, and then any other day you leave your hair natural. Meaning that, your hair isn't nice enough to wear to a special occasion naturally. So for my interview process that spanned out within a month, I would straighten my hair all the time to go in so I look presentable. I got the job now, you know what I mean? Like, I don't gotta straighten my hair no more. And back then, I would straighten my hair when I wanted to.
It's crazy how the hair has become politicized, but that's been going on for decades now. I did notice that within the Latinx community. Is it okay? What's the proper term? Latinx or Latino, Hispanic?
Truthfully, I don't understand the Latinx community. So I
think people are saying because for the longest time it was Latino, and people are saying, well, that has a masculine preference to it. It sounds more masculine. It's not inclusive of the females or whatever. And so I think the X is more inclusive. If my research is correct.
I've always said Latina, so I never say oh, I'm Latino. I always say I'm Latina because A is feminine, O is masculine.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always gone with Latina. So that's what I pretty much call myself. Or I'm just Hispanic, even though technically it's not the proper term. It's really Latina is the proper term. So now I'm learning to say I'm Latina. Because then my sister's like, you're not Hispanic. I was like, well, that's what I marked down on paper. You know what I mean? Like that's what the
Yeah.
But
no,
now,
but you mentioned the African diaspora, which includes the Caribbean, because of slavery and the fact that a lot of the Hispanic, quote unquote Hispanic Latinx community, they have African blood in them. I noticed some of them claim it, and some of them they don't want anything to do. Like you were saying, your family has a wide mixture.
yes.
But yeah, because I had a couple of friends that are like they had black friends. You could be friends, but you couldn't be like a lover or marry a black person because they want the kids to be light skinned, essentially.
Yeah. So that's like, I mean, if you look it up, Dominicans are highly known for not accepting that they're black. Most of us are black. There's a very small amount that are my color. Like my mom, I got my color from my mother. My dad is dark. My dad's dad is dark. My dad's mom is like fair skinned. Like she's darker, but more on the lighter side of things. And then my mom, her dad was white, and then my grandmother was black. So like, it's a huge variety. It's like, I don't know how we became light skinned, but some of us are light skinned. And like they want to say they're not black, and I'm like, do you not look at yourself in the mirror? That my dad and I actually had a huge argument about it when he was here, in May, because he's just like, I'm not black, I'm Dominican, and I'm like, do you not understand how this works? Like I was like, do you not read back? And then at the same time, I think it's just a lack of education on their part, because no one taught us about these things. Like I said, like I've always said I'm Dominican. I didn't know that we came from Africa, or like a portion of us did, or whatever the case is, until like recently, like within the last 4 to 6 years. But my whole life, we always were, we're saying you're Dominican. Not that we thought anything negative of the black community. It was just, this is our culture and this is what we're proud of. Like, we ran away from the dictatorship out in the Dominican Republic. We came here and like, we were proud Dominicans. It was never like us versus them. Honestly, I grew up with mainly black and Hispanic friends, like very little white friends that I had until like, high school. But I will never understand that, My mom also is another person that has that mentality that she's not black. I am Dominican, I'm not black. She's also light skinned though. But like, and my sister argues, like, my sister is dark skinned. So also now, might I add, so I come from a family of 4. Michelle, Pablo, me, and Emilio. Michelle is the only dark skinned one. Michelle's dad is also black. Out of all of us, I want to say the only one that didn't have a dark father was Pablo. But Michelle, I and Emilio all have black fathers. But Michelle's the only one that came out black. And Michelle was always like, I'm black, I'm this. Michelle was the one that really taught us, that we all come from Africa. And we are essentially black as well. And I think that in the beginning, my mom was highly offended by it because she feels like, why are you pushing away your Dominican culture? Why are you only focusing on the fact that you're black? And then I told my mom, I was like, it's one and the same. I said, because Michelle is the color black. I was like, she is black, but she's also Dominican. She is emphasizing both cultures. I said, you're only choosing to focus on one. And over time, she's becoming more accustomed to understanding it through education, because it's not, the other thing that people don't understand is that it's not gonna happen overnight. These folks have been in their ways. My mom is 61 years old. You know what I mean? Or 60. She's turning 61 in November. She has set in her way. She has gone 60 years of her life understanding that black is black, white is white, Puerto Rican is Puerto Rican, Cuban is Cuban, Dominican is Dominican. So to then now, like, be like, no, your life is wrong. This is what you are. It's going to take some time. I'm not going to be your housewife. I'm not staying at home with 20 kids, cooking for you every day, waking up at certain times to cook you breakfast. Boy, I got a life and I'm trying to live it. You know what I mean? My mom didn't teach me to be that kind of person, and I don't necessarily want to be that kind of person either. Like, I want you to have your life and I want to have my own life. I'll come home, I'll make us dinner, but if I don't get to it, don't get mad at me. I'm not gonna live up to the expectation of your mom either. That is the other thing I learned about Hispanic men, is that they idolize their mom so much. And I get it, our moms are amazing. You know, I guess some people have shitty moms, but most of us have really great moms. I'm not living up to her expectation, or like I'm not competing with her. This is not who I am. It's just not gonna happen. There was this one guy that I dated that was like, my mom is so this, my mom is so that, and I'm like, this might not work. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, I have accomplished so much in a short period of time, and like to say that I'm first generation in certain things, it feels great, and I want to keep pushing that forward. You ain't gonna stop that. You know, I need you to be like, yes, babe, go on. Not like, you should really cook me some. How about you go cook your goddamn self something? Go clean your own room, wash your own clothes if I don't get the opportunity to do it for the both of us. But I am not weighing on you hand and foot. It's just not happening. And she's not hateful towards the community. I will say that my mom wasn't one that was just like, oh, don't date a black person. My mom was very like, you should date a Dominican because I'm Dominican. And she's like, well, why don't you like Dominicans? What's wrong with Dominicans? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? I'm like, Mom, I'm never bringing a Hispanic to your house. It wasn't even like, I dated Dominican. It wasn't like,
why?
Oh, at least. She was like, or at least date a Puerto Rican or Cuban or nothing. It wasn't like that. She was just like, I want you to date a Dominican because that's our culture. At a very young age, my mom understood that I was not ever bringing Hispanics to the house. I dabbled a little bit. It's just not for me. They have this masculine mentality that I can't wrap my mind around it.
That's men in general.
I can say that, yes, but I think the race that has given me the most pushback on wanting to be my own person has been the Hispanic community. And then maybe it's just the people that I've dated, you know, because I'm sure there's people out there that are open. I know I have a lot of friends that are open to it, but it's just in my personal experience.
Listen, Ashley is about ambition and life goals, not aprons and casseroles. Ooh, that rhymed. News in general nowadays can be so tragic. I mean, tragic all the time.
Even with when the whole Capitol incident happened, I was working from home and I was on my computer, and for whatever reason, I decided to turn on the news. It wasn't like, I just was like, oh, let me see what's going on. Working from home, let me fill the house up with some noise. I don't feel like listening to music. So I had turned CNN because that was the last thing that was on the TV. And I'm just seeing this whole thing take place. I was like, what the hell? I was like, is this fake? What am I watching? Am I watching a movie? No, it was like live broadcasted. Like I didn't even know how to describe to you how I felt during that when I was watching that. Like I stopped working. My work emails suddenly paused. When this all happening, I was teamsing my group, my work group and stuff. And like, it was just like, everyone's like, are you watching the news? And all you see is yes, 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 and silence. No one talked after that. Like, everybody was just like glued to the TV, like, what is happening? Like, this can't be real. I want to say since then, I don't think I've turned on the news because I'm just like, I like stayed there the whole day at work. I was just like, I didn't work out that day. I didn't do anything. I don't even think I cooked. I was just like watching the news. Like, well, what is happening? And it reminded me almost of like 9/11 again. 9/11 happened when I was in first grade, but I remember that day like it was yesterday. And we were, back then, girl, we had to disconnect the TV or like the phone to then connect the computer in order to get internet and stuff. We had to complete a test on the computer because we were, the computers were the thing when we were learning them. So we had to unplug the TV to plug the computer in. So I'm doing my test. Suddenly my teacher's like, get off. unplugs the computer, plugs in the TV, and like that is when we saw the second plane hit the towers. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. And that is what this reminded me of. Like, I just remember that day just sitting at the screen, like, what am I watching? Like, is this a movie? Is this fake? Like, why am I watching this? And that's how I felt. Like, it instantly reminded me of that. And like, I don't think I'll ever forget that day. Like, just to see these people coming in because they thought that we stole a vote from them. It's not like we have so many other things that are more important that we need to voice we should be voicing our opinions to, especially with racism, but that doesn't seem to matter. But we're gonna sit here and fight and shoot and storm a capitol, a government place.
Yeah, these all lives matter people, these blue lives matter people beating police officers with American flags. People with that Confederate flag, right? There's so much ignorance and misinformation around that, right? Again, this all comes down to education. That flag is considered treasonous. They wanted to succeed they wanted to be their own country. The institution of slavery, people miss that part. They're like, oh, that's just about heritage and being Southern. Your heritage involved owning people.
And they also want to bring up the fact that military like has to do with that flag. And I'm like, man,
there were some military people that you just there's a New York Times, it's on YouTube, it's about 40 minutes long. It timestamped everything minute by minute by minute by minute, how it took place or whatever. It's hard to watch, but it's so good.
I don't know, I can't watch those heavy kinds of shows anymore. Like, I gave up. I'm just watching things on Disney Plus right now, you know what I mean? Some Netflix shows, some drama-filled shows like My Real Housewives of whatever, because life is so negative. You turn on the TV and watch, do you just want to watch like basic day-to-day news? Like, tell me what's going on in my community. It's not even like that. Like, when I used to watch TV as a kid, or the news as a kid, I was only allowed to watch the news or, sports. Because for a while, like, we only had one TV. We're not allowed to have TVs in our room. And for a while, my grandmother would only watch the news. And it was to hear what's happening in the community. Like, what's happening in this district, like, this happened, that happened, schools closing, all this other stuff. Like, you don't hear that, no. Like, right now it's just on, like, it's like a rotating of sad events happening on TV. It's ridiculous. And I don't want to watch that no more. Like, I don't want you to make me feel like my life is, like, I'm dying. Tomorrow the world is gonna end. These people are going to attack us. Those people are going to attack us. Like, it's a hateful world. Like, there's positive things within small communities of us. And then when you look at the overall picture, it's a mess. It's a hot mess.
Climate change. Climate change doesn't give a crap about your race, gender, social status. When a hurricane comes, tornado comes, it's not like, okay, where's the affluent neighborhood? I need to avoid that one. No.
It's whoever lands in their path is going to go with them. So
yeah, my thing is climate change is because you see it. Oh my God. Did you see that? What storm was that? The one I just hit, Louisiana. It was a category 4 when it hit.
That was a 5. I thought it was. It can't.
The 5? I thought it was a 4.
It was Ida. Ida hit 16 years after Katrina hit New Orleans or Louisiana. It was on the anniversary of Katrina that Ida hit, and Ida hit down much stronger than Katrina did. Because I want to say Katrina was gonna hit at like a 2, a 1 or a 2. Like, I remember that no one was necessarily worried about Katrina, and then Katrina came and like F shit up everywhere, like took things away from everyone. And to see Ida hit stronger, I feel like Louisiana can never win. They keep getting hit left.
They're below sea level anyway. I know. It's the same thing with Haiti. Like, Haiti, between natural disasters, corruption, Haiti catches hell.
I agree, and no one talks about it, which is insane. Like, when Haiti is in need of help, no one talks about it. But when any other country is in need of help, everybody's talking about it. It's like when everything was happening with Cuba, everybody was talking about it. When Haiti needed us, nobody cared to talk about it, other than like our Haitian American friends. That's it. That was really sad to see. And like I saw a lot of them, talking about it. Like, oh, like Haiti's needed your help and none of you are talking about it. And I want to say it was like within a week of everything that was happening with Cuba. And I'm like, exactly, guys. Like, why can't we be the voice for others when they're in need? It doesn't matter who you are. Why can't we help?
I know quite a few Haitians, and one common thing I hear from all of them is that it's the same thing with because I have a Cuban friend, and he's just like the same way. You send help over there, but it's intercepted before it reaches the intended target. So you can send all the stuff you want to, but it's like, is it going to reach where it needs to reach, or is the gang or is the government going to take it? That's how corrupt they are.
Yeah, that's true. And then didn't their president just get shot and killed? The wife was in Florida somewhere, Fort Lauderdale, I believe. That whole thing was insane. I don't know too much about it, I'll be very honest. Like, I have taken a hiatus from the news. I haven't been reading the news within like the last 3-4 months. Like, I just started finding out about what's been going on overseas with our troops and stuff, which is super sad.
Did you see the video of climbing aboard the plane as it's trying? And one kid, he landed to his death. Like, that tells you how. Think about that. They had nothing on their physical body except their clothes.
Yep.
So essentially, you're leaving everything, and you see this one plane as your liberation, and you going to take everything in your power to hang on to this plane. And it was so. But at the same time, our exit strategy out of there was so fuddled. It was so messed up. And how do you let and then when people do more research, supposedly Trump made a deal with the Taliban
that they'd be gone by a certain date.
But my thing is, like, this is the Taliban. You're really going to take the Taliban's word? The Taliban? So the Taliban know that's their country. These foreigners gonna come in here and tell us what to do? No, they're not gonna do that. So they strike a deal, and then it seemed like they reneged on it, because I was listening to NPR report today. A grandmother, she got beat up at the last checkpoint gate. How do you beat up a grandmother? How morally bankrupt are you? But then again, when you know their views on women, I mean, it's not too,
Well, that's what I was talking about. I think it was with my work friends, where we were talking about, like, it's a whole different world out there. Like, their norms are things that we find bizarre here. And I just get scared, man. I get scared of what they're gonna do. I get scared of what they're gonna do to us. This is why I don't read the news, because I have yet to find any positivity out in this world.
The news is in the business of scaring us now. They're not in the news. They're not in the business of. They're not in the business of informing. They're in the business of scaring and creating anxiety. They don't inform us anymore, because in an informed society, they don't want that pretty much.
I think what the propaganda is just what's going to get us the most attention, and they know that we're. Unfortunately, as community, like our generations are more inclined to wanting to read something bad than we are to read something good or something positive. Like, it's like we're almost more entertained by the drama that's happening, the catastrophe that's happening, than we are when they post something good about anything. And that is my biggest fear, because I feel like that's essentially what created the Capitol, in a sense, was just all the conversations that we're having. Because I think it was Hulu that had a whole thing about what took place at the Capitol, and like they were just bringing in like everything that was happening. And I'm like, this is them talking on a private network. Like, I'd rather cut their private networks and have them in a public network where like I can visually watch what's going on and what to expect and what are they gonna do. My biggest fear is like, they did this, what are they going to do next, bro?
Those seeds have been planted in America since the inception of this country. And the thing is that it was just that before Trump, he just made it fashionable and made it normal to have that kind of speech out there, because before there were repercussions. People were held accountable for what they said, and so they saw him as a non-politician. Oh, he's just a celebrity, so therefore, I think they gave him more license to be looser with his language. Because the minute he said what he said about Mexicans, if he was a politician, he would have got clapback for them. But they let that go. And so, but again, people heard that around the world. It's like, wait a minute. So if he feels that way about Mexicans, and so then you do research on this guy, he feels a certain way about women. He feels a certain way about Black people. I mean, he called for the the exonerated five to get killed, murdered. These are teenagers.
Mind you, at the time, he was literally a nobody. All he was from the Trump Towers in New York City. Like, he was literally a nobody. So who was he to even make a comment such as the comment that he made?
Was a real estate tycoon, and because of his name and influence in New York City, I mean, they literally gave him almost like a freaking page to voice his opinion on that one.
It was like a whole spread. Like, if I remember the show, was like his picture went on 2 pages and like all this stuff. It is insane how like the way that people were so comfortable with the things that he was saying and then backing him up. Like,
yes.
And then, like,
and that's why he's dangerous. Like, they're like, okay, and so because people thought, you heard us stupid language about, especially after Obama got elected. Oh, we're in post-racial America. No, we're not. What are you talking post-racial? Because we elected a Black person in a racialized society. You're always going to have outliers. That's always, they can't get the perception that they're trying to oppress people. How does that look?
I feel like with Obama, they were like, here, so you can shut up and say that we've never done anything.
I think also Obama partly was a repudiation of Bush. People were sick and tired of Bush and Republicans at the point. They're like, we need it. Obama was a breath of fresh air, because he was like bucking the system in a sense. But again, once you get into that position, you become a politician. He was a community organizer. He became a politician. Just like Trump was a reality star, he became a politician. It's something about that office that,
I think too, like, who did he run against? McCain? Was it McCain?
Obama or McCain.
Yeah. So, and I also think that people were like, how do I say it? Like, no one necessarily wanted to pick him because he was also like a little older. So I feel like this was like the perfect opportunity to like give us this opportunity to have like our first Black president. But I don't think they did it because they wanted to see us succeed. It was like a handout almost.
I don't think so, because when you look at his margin of victories, like he shellacked McCain. And because of that, that's when the GOP kind of strategized, like, oh, okay, we got to do something about these new voters. We got to do something about these young voters. We got to do something about these Black voters. And so you see all these now, especially now, all these voter suppression laws. I think it's like in 20-something states now. It's insane. Like, they're literally making it impossible for you to exercise your right to vote. You can't. How are you going to criminalize bringing somebody some water when they're waiting in line for 10 hours? How do you justify that? Because you're afraid they're not going to vote for you?
That just shows that, like, the world hasn't changed in the way that we thought it was. It was just being suppressed the entire time. They were hiding behind, like, essentially like an invisible cloak. Like, we couldn't see it because in our faces they're like, hey, welcome. We'd love to have you here. We're so happy for you to be here. And then once you turn around, there was like, oh, this, that's when all their real person comes out. It's insane.
There's a book called White Rage. It's Carol Anderson. That book is awesome. Basically what she's laying out, because she has receipts. She's done her research. Basically what she's saying is that every time there's a perception of Black progress, white people, especially white males, they do things silently and through legislation, slowly take away your rights or take away your progress or whatever. That's essentially the book sums up. First impressions. First impressions can last a lifetime, but sometimes people have a lot more going on underneath the surface. And those of us who suffer from RBF or resting B-face, that's a thing. Don't at me. It can be off or come off as a form of miscommunication, but hearing Ashley recount her first impression of me, listen, she can be kind of dramatic. I'm not that bad. I'm just not a morning person. That's a thing. Don't at me. I know people's potential is more than what they're putting out right now. They gotta believe that they can change and make the world better. And
I agree. I will say that when I first met you, I was like, wow, she always got a mean ass face on.
girl, I got resting bitch face from my mama.
You'd be like, morning. I was like, oh no.
I'm not a morning person.
And then from then on, that's why I was like, I'm gonna say good morning every day since she wanna act all rude and stuff. I'm over here being nice, saying good morning. And you're gonna be like, good morning.
I wasn't that bad. I would say more. I'm not a morning person. And then I'm like, and then that environment was just so. I'm like, oh God, I gotta go in there.
Yeah, that environment was heavy. Yeah, it took about 2 weeks before I feel like, what is your problem? Why aren't you happy when I say good morning? I mean, it's funny because I'm not necessarily a morning person, but by the time you guys were showing up, I have been up for 2 hours, so I'm like, good morning. The sun is out, even though we had no damn windows in that office. The sun is out. How are you doing? I know people hated me, but listen, everybody walks in with a chip on their shoulder. Everyone walks in negatively. I'm gonna make my area positive. How you doing? Welcome. I don't want to be here either, but let's make the best of this day. But I wouldn't it took a couple weeks before we actually spoke to each other. And I don't necessarily remember how we spoke or when.
I think our connection was Nia.
Was it? I can't remember.
Because I remember because it was all how it went down with us being absorbed into that department to begin with, and we knew how the heads. So it was just we were just on pins and needles, and so we were just like I was just like gotta have your defenses up, right? So Nia came over because you know how they put us in the middle for a minute, and so she was doing something. And y'all had to like click papers or something. And I said something about like, can you make any more noise? I'm being sarcastic, like, can you make any more noise? And so it started from there. I think she was our introduction, I think.
Yeah, because I want to say when you guys, I think I started saying good morning to you because I'm like, man, you actually got black or something? Because damn, I was getting bored being the only like colored person in this office. I mean, we also had one more, but like me and her didn't work on the same shift, so I never saw her. And so then like you came in and I was like, oh my God, hello, friend. And then, but that's how I started saying good morning. Like, I'm like, finally, it's not just me in this office that has to deal with the racism in here. Like, I can have somebody else with me. Not that I wanted you to have to deal with the same thing, but like, you weren't on my side. So I was able to go over to you and like, just cry it out, but not with actual tears. And so that's how I started saying good morning. And you might be right. I think when we officially started talking was during that. Because I'm like, she don't want to be my friend. She was saying good morning.
Oh, it wasn't that. Because I'm normally not. Because I see, again, when I see another minority in the room, I'm like, okay, boom, I can make a connection there. Like, we just instinctively do that. It's just, again, when you're living in when you live in certain environments or whatever, you look for allies. You look for someone that, some type of familiarity to, right? And so, but at that point, it was just like us against them. Yeah. And we felt like we couldn't really trust anybody. And I was like, I get that. And so, at that point, even a good morning is like, what you saying good morning? Like, again, like when we first met each other, we had all these different preconceived notions or whatever, but there was so much else going on in the background. But when we finally came together and got to know each other close, like my little sister, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's really funny how close we got and like how fast things happen and how close we got within a short period of time. Yeah. Like it went from like work to then you coming over every Sunday because we were watching Power. My mom was accepting you in, mom was cooking for you. We had pizza, we had it was so funny how everything happened. Like, how does it feel for you to have friends that are way older than you? And I'm like, I guess I don't think about their age. And I was like, don't say that way older than me. That is offensive. I tell them because, like, I have one friend turning 40 now, and they're like, you need to make friends your own age. And I'm like, why? Like, I feel like you
can all learn from each other. Like, if I need to know something about the younger culture, I'm turning to my niece. I'm reaching out to you. Who else? Nia. Who else? Young people who are younger than me. Like, I'm older than y'all. But that's how you learn from each other.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I'm just like, I don't know if I necessarily want to only keep friends that are my age around me, because you guys bring so much wisdom, so much things that like thoughts that I've never put, like other points of views that I just never thought of. Like, you guys really like bring everything full circle to me. And that's one thing I appreciate. Like, I have you, I have Danielle, I have Janet, like, you guys are all in different ages and stages of your life, and then like you guys really like humble me sometimes, because sometimes I just take things overboard and I get overly upset, overly sensitive, or sometimes I just don't care about something enough, and you guys are like, get it together. You know what I mean? And like, you need people like that in your life. And I really like that. I like having friends that are older than me. I also think a part of me is an old soul too. I'm really chill compared to my friends. But when I'm around them, like, I want to hype everybody up, like, let's get drunk, you know what I mean? And then when I'm like, let's chill, man, let's talk about life. And it's nice to just, like how you mentioned the echo chamber, like having different people in my life allows me to not have an echo chamber the whole time. Like, I come to you guys and I'm like, yo, am I really crazy? Like, come on, tell me. Like, tell me. Am I not? Nah, I'm gonna do that to myself. Like 4 out of 10 times you guys tell me I'm crazy. Most of the time I'm right. I know I'm right. But you guys tell me when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. And I think that we should normalize that. I really enjoyed having friends that were older than me. Like, I had you guys, I had Mark at one point. So it's like, you guys really brought me down when I needed you guys to listen. And pop off so many times. How many times would I come around that little corner, the little wall that separated us, and be like, yo, let me tell you what she said to me. I was like, am I wrong for what I said? He'd be like, no. I'm like, all right, that's all I'm gonna tell you. And go right back to my desk, sit down, and keep on talking. You know, like, it's really nice to have that. And you guys all have different opinions, which is also really nice. And you guys have all different backgrounds. Your background, Janet's background, Danielle's, like, it was definitely a nice army to have.
Yeah. Trust me, I have more than made up for my crappy first impression since then, but you all know, if you're in a type of environment, politics, the mind games, the disrespect, passive aggressiveness, I mean, I could go on, but I'm not. I got more show to do. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do you have Spotify? If so, turn on the notification button. Did you guys get to listen to my Dear Society segment about Naomi Osaka? What? No. For those of you who did, or didn't, I should say, here's our take on Naomi and athletes and mental health. So a lot of commentary comes from our viewing of the Netflix documentary Naomi Osaka. And Simone Biles also gets a mention, as she should. What do you think about the Naomi Osaka documentary?
For a world that paints her to be self-centered and wanting, like, what do they call her? Weak and all this kind of stuff. Like, Naomi is the most humble person I have ever seen on screen. I can't say in person because I have never met her personally. But she is extremely humble, super, like, just, I don't remember what the other girl's name was, but the match that she had with the 15-year-old girl, the other black girl.
Oh, Coco?
Yeah, and Naomi won. And like, she walked up to her and was like, hey, can we do the interview together? And she's like, no, I think I'm gonna cry. And she's like, no, like, don't cry, because if you cry, I'm gonna cry. The fact that they had a moment where they both cried together, Naomi won. She's a champ of this. But she like went down to a level where she understood where Coco was coming from, and understood and hugged her and encouraged her to go in front of the cameras, to continue with an interview and to push forward, and was like, you're amazing, you did great, like, you inspire me. Like, she said all these great things. And it's like, why are we trying to cancel her? Why? I just don't understand. Like, the news people, they're like, oh, well, how can you have all this anxiety and not want to have an interview in front of people after a match, but you can't, but you had a 3-part episode on Netflix. Regardless of when this happened, most of it, if you pay attention to, is of her playing, of her practicing, where she does not have time to sit and realize that she's being recorded. That is what she learned to do. She plays in matches all the time. She's being recorded. That is what she's used to. She's not used to sitting in a seat where she has to address a panel of people. That some of these questions are just absurd.
They are.
In many ways.
They're repetitive, and they're same question in different languages or whatever. And some of the reporters are so rude,
So
you know.
aggressive.
And some, I mean, no, they have the audacity to say, "Oh, she's entitled," and she's. It's like, no, some of these reporters are like they're entitled to these athletes, you know, like sitting down and you know being asked the same stupid questions over and over and over again. I just think that they just think that athletes are pampered and babied or whatever, and we, you know, they owe us.
I was gonna say, they feel like these reporters feel like they're entitled to answers. Like, they don't have to sit there and talk to you. Like, some of them do it, you know, to like please their reps and please their the companies that like are I forget, sponsoring them and stuff like that. Like, I get that, but at the same time, like, I love the new norm of understanding other people's mental health. Like, we have to put their mental health into perspective. Like, this is a lot of pressure. She's very young.
Did you see her schedule when she's not playing tennis?
It's like,
that's insane.
Doing this gathering, this presentation needs to be here, over there. Like, she literally has no time for. None of these people have time for themselves.
No.
And it's like, is going out there and answering questions really like worth her time when there's so much more things that she could be doing? Like, they don't rest. They don't do anything for themselves. Everything that they do is for other people. And she's voiced it so much that everything she does is like for her mom.
Yeah.
And for the Japanese community, because she is the first one, you know, like, she's here putting everybody else's wants and needs before hers and not really understanding that she's important. But now she's understanding it, and now she's putting herself forward, and here is everybody else treating her horribly, like she's done something to them. All she's not doing is answering your questions.
I like how she's find her voice, especially how she's also starting to like when she did that thing with the Black Lives Matter with the masks and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was courageous because, you know, and I think they asked her, like, why did you bring attention to it? And she said something of the fact, like, well, I got your attention now, right? We're talking about it. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't address it.
Yep.
You know? I don't know.
It's super important. And I love athletes, too, that kind of, like, bring attention to the cause, because it is true. They have to do something outlandish, like wearing something as silly as a mask, to get people to talk about something. But then what sucks is just the negative, like, backlash that they get from it. And like the other person, like the other athlete that's also dealing with all of the backlash is Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Because she quit last minute. But like, my thing is everyone else's approval worth more than your own well-being? She could have broken a neck, a leg, an arm, could have fell out, had a concussion. Like, we don't know. Is that worth more than her like sitting on, like, you know what, I'm not in the mental capacity to perform, and I need to take a step back for my own health, my own sanity. It's like, we're in a world where like we want to push people to the core and then expect them to perform the same every single time. That's not gonna happen.
Do you code switch at work? More broadly speaking, is talking, behaving, and sometimes dressing in a manner that puts someone else at ease. This happens, in my observation, with minorities who maneuver around white people so they don't come off as, you know, in my case, you don't come off as a you know, angry black woman. Like, are we not human with human emotions? Anger being one of them. I'm just saying.
I think it's because these ladies are very like proper. They're like very sophisticated, and I must present myself in such ways. And when I curse, I like say it under my breath. And then we just had a new attorney that just joined us, and she'll like curse too, and I'm like, yes, Yeah, somebody.
Isn't it crazy how we developed the ability to code switch?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
code switching is, oh my god.
It's so bad. When I like, especially in my office, because like in my office we have 3 white ladies, and then an Argentinian, and then there's me. And then next door, OPS, which is like our IA, we have 2 African Americans there, right? So like it's funny how like when I'm interacting with them, like, and how close I got with them too, like not, I wouldn't say super close, but like how easily acquainted I got myself with them. And like it's just a different conversation that I have with them that when I have with other like coworkers that I have at work. And like even when I'm talking to them, I'm saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then I'll go back to like, "Yes, as you were saying, continue." It's so bad. I do it every single time I see them, especially in the hallway, and I'm like, I should really stop code switching that obvious in front of people. I should really be a little bit better with it.
That's a survival technique, child. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, look, I understand that the world's population is humongous, and in some countries, the birth rates are declining. But listen, I don't have kids, and I never really saw myself with kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. So, let me just take this time to pat my inner 9-year-old self on the back when I made that declaration when I was 9. But, yes, children are a blessing. Yes, they are. But where were y'all when I had to watch my siblings back in the day? Huh?
I do want kids. And when I got this dog, I was just like, maybe like Boo will teach me, like will make me realize if I'm ready right now or if I can wait. And I can definitely wait.
How many kids do you want?
So, Justin wants.
I'm sorry, what?
6.
Like the number that comes after 5?
Yes, girl. Yeah.
Who the heck? Why?
Basketball team. He wants a basketball team on the court. He was like, I want to create my own basketball team. I said, look, sir.
Listen, he can go to the Boys and Girls Club and adopt 6 kids.
I said, how about we adopt half of those and I'll give you 3.
Right?
And then, so I always wanted 4 because I come from a family of 4. So I was just like, it would be nice to like just recreate that. And then he wants 6, so I said, let's meet in the middle and let's do 5. No, still not satisfied. He wants.
But you're the one that has to carry them.
Maybe I'll get lucky and just have like one. Like I only want to give birth like a max amount of 3 times. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to go through that.
They want twins each time.
That's what I said. Like if I get lucky, if God, you know, blesses me and gives me a miracle of 2 sets of twins, I'll be set. Like I would let it go. I'm tying my tube, snip over there, and then keep it moving.
Do twins run in the family anywhere with you or his?
On Justin's side, not my side. So I told him we might not get lucky.
Why?
Because I'm pretty sure it's on. I have to have the genes to have twins, if I remember it correctly.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the female that has to have the gene.
Really?
Regardless of the fact, that's still 2 heads at one time. Like, can I even do that? Am I even mentally prepared for that?
Oh my god. No.
You know how many times I cry with this dog? Could you imagine how many times I cry with a human?
Plus, you seem to be like type A personality. So, I... This is just a little example of why Ashley is hard to forget.
We're working on it though. He now knows. I am beautiful when I come in. It will straight and curly, but you're gonna emphasize it when it's straight because I work hard on it. I don't work this hard when it's like this. This is just wet it, add some things, walk out the house flawless. But over there, that's 4 hours of work. I'm gonna need some compliments. Okay. I'm essentially killing my hair to look like this. Better don't make me feel bad about it.
Oh my god. Oh.
It's his fault. He decided to date me. So he's stuck now. He ain't going nowhere.
Does he know that?
Yep. I told him, I said, I will cut it off.
I don't know how we got on a topic of Lorena Bobbitt, but we did. And why I'm deciding to share this, I don't know.
I said, what's her name? Bobbit. I said, I will become the second one.
Well, Bobbit was abused repeatedly.
She was, but I just mean the cutting of the penis. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do the other stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna slice. And then I'm not gonna throw it in the ocean right down the street. I'm just gonna put it in a thing that chops it off, and then that's it. There's no reviving that thing. None whatsoever. I'm gonna put some bleach on it too. You can't know. Unfunctioning. Put it in hot water, not cold water. I'm not letting that thing survive. He knows.
Oh my god.
He's hear me right now too.
Oh, girl. Oh, you silly.
I'm just honest, you know?
Appreciate it. I'll just go put bleach on it.
It's not gonna survive. She threw it out in the lake down the street. Anybody could go get it. No, ma'am, you gotta kill it.
She threw it in the woods.
No, choppity chop. And then you disperse it in areas.
No, Bobbit. I thought she threw it in the woods. Did she throw it in the ocean?
I'm pretty sure it was in the lake or something.
How'd they find it?
It was something like superly accessible. I was just reading it in the Crimes of Passion podcast I used to listen to a while back ago. I'm gonna have to listen to it again to remember what happened. But I thought she threw it in the water. I thought she and then just went about her day.
That's what she threw in the woods. I know she threw it out the window. She threw it away.
I was gonna say I threw it out the window. I thought it was in the water. I could be wrong though. But either way, I'm gonna throw it where you can't find it. And it's gonna be in pieces. It's gonna take you some work. I'm gonna go and travel with it and disperse it in different areas.
Oh wow. Okay. Just flush it down the toilet.
No, because then you just gotta go do the pipelines. Too easily accessible.
Well, you don't tell them where you. The last place they look.
That's true. So now my new description now is watching body camera footage. Some of these things are interesting. Some people be fighting in front of these officers, and I'm just like, and he just, they just be sitting there. Like, I had a breakup happen in front of the camera. Homegirl was sitting in the back seat, locked up. Officer was typing his report in the front seat. She was talking to girlfriend, then ex-girlfriend, whatever. She's like, what did I do so wrong? What did I do with this? Like, it was hysterical. And like, I felt bad for this girl. I cry easily. But then I got to a point where I started laughing a little bit because it was like that serious ugly cry when you start choking and you gotta cough a little bit. And I was like, God damn, what is this officer doing? Like, he's just letting them have this conversation because, like, she's in the car, they're talking through the window. He's just sitting there typing up the report because the car had to get picked up and the girl showed up on scene because it was her car. So it wouldn't get told she showed up to come pick it up. They had a 45-minute conversation. And homegirl was hysterical from jump to end. Like, the officer had to break it up twice because she was so hysterical. Like, breathe, man, breathe. I was vested. You know what I mean? I was just like, and then at the end, like, she was like, oh, were you on a way to go see her? And I'm like, who? I was like, wait, finish the story, don't. And then the camera cut off, and I was like, yo, how you gonna end it like this? I was so upset. I was so vested. I wanted to hear who was this girl. Like, oh my god. I was like, oh god, it got so good. Yeah, life is a little dramatic.
Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Do you have Spotify? If so, turn on the notification button. You can also find the Conversation Piece podcast on Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, RadioPublic.com, Breaker.audio, and Anchor.fm/Akila Lynch, spelled AQUILA-LYNCH. Thank you for your support.
People just need to get their shit together and start accepting each other for who they are. Like, what why does it matter that our views are different? Like, why can't we learn from each other? You know what I mean? Like, I hate the comments when people are like, we should be able to have our own opinions and still be friends. I'm like, just not when it comes to racism. You know what I mean? Like, I can accept other disagreements. Like, you can like the Bucks fan and I'm a Giants fan. Like, whatever, you have shitty taste, but I accept you. But like, we really need to normalize like standing up for ourselves. And when you see somebody else receiving bad treatment, standing up for them too, especially if they don't have the courage to do it themselves. Like, we need to be better as a community and like defend one another. But like other things, like we really need to work. We need to work together because we're not going to get better unless we become one. We don't have to be the same, but we at least need to have the same. We need to fight for the same things. And that's it. And stop being assholes, you know what I mean? I'm not even gonna cut out my curse words.
Did very well. I was just like, how am I gonna edit around this? But you only dropped what, less than 10? That's good.
Yeah, I said less than 10, girl. I told myself this whole day, like, I'm like, all right, work on the F-bombs, Ashley. No F-bombs. Like, no B words, no F words. Like, let's just.
Oh,
I think I almost said it, but then I like said it in like in a different way where I was like, I wasn't a curse word.
That's hilarious.
Like I said, I didn't know how bad I cursed until you guys bring it to my attention.
Really?
You know, in my job right now, I don't even curse.
So you can do it. All right, girl. I'm gonna let you go. I do appreciate it.
Of course, now I gotta cook. Who wants this adult life? Not I. Jesus, send me back to my mom's stomach. I'll live there any day. Send me back. I don't want to pay these bills no more. I don't want to cook every day. I'll take care of the dog. I'll bring the dog with me. That's about it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Take care. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Listen, I'm still trying to work my iPhone. I cannot.
Haven't you had an iPhone now for a couple years?
Listen, stop it.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Conversation Piece podcast. I am your humble host, Akila, requesting that you join me again. So, until then, be safe. Love and value yourself so that you can love and value others. I bid you adieu with the greeting, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you.